Hello, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, advocate, and certified trauma recovery coach from danaarcuri.com. If you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any new content. And if you are returning to my YouTube channel, welcome back. It's great to have you here for another interesting and educational message. This YouTube video today is going to be about after the narcissist is gone, and we're going to talk about healing grief, loss, and trauma. And so this could pertain to a wide range of scenarios. It could be that the narcissistic parent has passed away. It could be that you went no contact, or you are now estranged from the narcissist. The narcissist could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a husband, a wife, intimate partner, boyfriend, girlfriend. And so there are different circumstances for each one of us. And today's video, the whole idea was actually based on one of my viewers named Robert, who asked me to create a YouTube video on grief and loss after the narcissist is gone. And there's a lot to consider. So we're going to start with this. And, it isn't easy walking away from a narcissist. It isn't easy actually waking up to the truth about narcissistic abuse. For many of us, we lived under the fog for many, many years. It could have been a lifetime, many decades, in which we were not aware of narcissistic abuse. We did not understand or know about narcissistic personality disorder or the toxic family enmeshment dynamics. And so eventually most of us did wake up. We learned the truth. We educated ourselves. We read plenty of books. We have watched a lot of videos on YouTube or elsewhere. And we have become enlightened, wise, educated, and empowered along our healing journey. And today's topic it's a hard one. I'm going to keep it real. The irony is this. As I'm recording this, I'm very well aware that tomorrow is actually my narcissistic mother's 2-year anniversary of passing away. So how ironic that someone asked me to speak about grief and loss of the narcissist. And so I will be the first to say that it is probably for most people even harder when the narcissistic parent passes away, because you're not dealing with just regular loss and grief of a parent. You're now dealing with the loss of the parent you never had. So you may never have had the unconditional, authentic, genuine love, care, respect, and a caring relationship with a narcissist. You may have missed out on a normal childhood. You may have missed out on opportunities to have a warm, compassionate, safe, healthy relationship with your parents or whoever this narcissist may be in your life. And so whether this narcissist is alive today and you are just no contact, or maybe there's a situation of family estrangement, or it's a situation in which the narcissist truly did pass away, there's a lot of sadness, grief, loss, and a lot of emotions that could be like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down. I've always said, grief is like the ocean. It ebbs and it flows. And there are times when we may feel like we are drowning and the waves are just crashing through and pulling us under. And there's other times we can feel as if we're staying afloat. And this is common. So keep in mind that everyone experiences grief differently. And the one thing that a lot of people don't want to go through is grief and loss after the death of a loved one. And a lot of us, we may cringe at it. We may want to conceal our pain. We may feel like we need to be the strong one. But my dear souls, if you don't do the grief work, you cannot heal from trauma. and narcissistic abuse. So narcissistic abuse really does go hand in hand with doing the grief work, the trauma work, the recovery work, and seeking emotional support, seeking help and various holistic modalities and wonderful tools that are out there, especially in the coaching and therapy community with mental health. And so know that you're not alone, that I understand you, even if I may not know you right now. I understand you. I understand your pain. I understand what you've been through. And I understand that it's not an easy road. So let's chat a little bit about what is grief. Okay, so according to the grief expert Elisabeth Kubler Ross, she says there are 5 stages of grief. Now, oftentimes we could go onto different websites and we could see someone say, oh, there's really 7 stages. That could be true, but today let's just stick to the 5 stages and keep it really simple. So, according to the 5 stages of grief, they include denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And there's a lot I'd like to talk about in regards to these 5 stages. The first thing is there is no rhyme or reason for which stage you may be experiencing right now. There is no correct order to go through in these 5 stages. And it's very common and normal that you may bounce between 1 or 2 or even all 5 of the grief stages. So there are times when you may feel depressed, sad, heartbroken, and lost, just utterly lost or isolated. There are times you may feel angry, you may feel enraged. You may have a lot of very negative emotions and memories of the past abuse by the narcissist and even the flying monkeys. And you may feel furious. Again, very common to feel this. Next, the bargaining stage is pretty explanatory, and most people understand these various 5 stages. I personally never really went through the bargaining stage with anyone. I never really felt bargaining, as a stage. I think that I may have skipped that one altogether. To me, I didn't feel the need to bargain. I didn't want to bargain. I was already out of a relationship with the narcissistic mother of mine prior to her death. And so we can understand that I already was in the acceptance phase. So because I had already been no contact with my birth mother since July 2018, and then she passes away, ironically, in July 2020, I had already done so much of the grief work. And I call that anticipatory grief. Now, anticipatory grief is before the actual narcissist passes away. So anticipatory grief isn't often spoken of, but we need to understand that if your narcissistic parent or partner or whoever this narc may be, if they do have a terminal illness, if they're very, very old, obviously if someone's in their 80s, 90s, 100s, we know that their life could be coming to an end shortly. And so we could be understanding of that. On the same token, acceptance is knowing that we cannot change what happened with the narcissist. We can't change the narc. We can't change their actions, behaviors, and words. We can't change how manipulative and cruel they are. We cannot change their patterns. The narcissist does wear a mask. One minute they're syrupy sweet. The next minute they fly into a seething rage. They are actually predictable once you do discover the patterns for yourself. And I guarantee they do have patterns. You may have times where when they are living, and if you are still in a relationship, And we may have to add, even if you're not in a relationship, because the narcissist may not respect your boundaries. So you may have said, I'm done with a relationship with you. I am going no contact, and please don't contact me ever again. But the narcissist may keep calling you, may text you, email you, come knocking on your door, or what have you. They may reach out to you one way or the other, or they may use a flying monkey, abuse by proxy. And this is very common. And they typically do have the flying monkeys do their dirty work. They have the flying monkeys check up on you, to watch you. Trust me, they're watching you right now. And so they will bait us, they will provoke us, they definitely want an emotional reaction. But let's get back to acceptance. Many of us have already accepted that we can't change the narcissist, and that is why we broke free of those hostile, unhealthy dynamics, because it is mental abuse. For some of us, we did also experience child abuse, child neglect, and physical violence, physical assault. My mother was a violent person. My mother did definitely cross my boundaries as an adult as well as when I was a child. I was not taught boundaries. I didn't understand boundaries, but I guarantee in 2018, when I walked away from my toxic abusive siblings and my narcissistic mother, I definitely set new, clear, healthy boundaries. And no, they did not respect it. And that was a given. We can definitely build awareness on that. It's not shocking that toxic, sadistic, manipulative people will continually create smear campaigns, retaliate against us, and continually try to harm us and destroy us. So that is not a shock. When we are working through the stages of grief, so we have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, we may find ourselves leaning towards one stage. I'll keep it real. I had been in the stage of anger prior to my mother passing away. I was angry that she neglected me and abused me as a child, as a teenager, and then she continually manipulated me, gaslit me, and viciously abused me. And there were times there was physical assault involved as an adult. Now, it's extremely confusing when you are in the early stages of narcissistic abuse or even in the later stages. At that point, I was a much older person. I was in my 40s. I consider that a later stage of life. But I didn't understand narcissistic abuse back in 2006. I did not understand, what is narcissistic personality? What is toxic family enmeshment? What is a trauma bond? What is a codependent relationship? So I did understand and grasp codependency. I suggest reading the book Codependent No More, a very enlightening book to understand codependent relationships. But however, despite knowing that my relationship with my mother was codependent and understanding that something was very, very wrong with her, in 2006 and the earlier days of my life, I didn't connect the dots. And like I said, I didn't make sense out of the madness and the crazy making, the love bombing, the hoovering, the triangulation of relationships, and on until July 2018, when all the pieces of the puzzle came together and I broke free of those dynamics. So we can understand that if your narcissistic relationship, so meaning, again, it could be your boyfriend, girlfriend, intimate partner, an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, it could be your parent, mother, father, brother, sister, or someone else. If they do pass away, expect the unexpected. Expect, number one, if this is your mother, your father, even a family member, a relative who is the narc, expect the unexpected that, number one, the flying monkeys and or toxic siblings and or other relatives will not inform you of this person being on their deathbed. They will not inform you of this person passing away. They will not inform you of the funeral arrangements and or the memorial, and you will not be invited. Actually, they're going to do everything they can to keep you away. And the reason why is because if you are the family scapegoat, they're going to gang up on you. Another name for this is family mobbing. You may want to check out that video of mine. So it is just an insidious, most violent criminal actions that can take place, including stealing someone's family inheritance and or trust fund. So there's a lot of very negative, inappropriate behaviors that can take place before, during, and after the narcissist passes away. And I can say this, what a life lesson it has been. You know, when I look back on everything, and trust me, I've had now 4 years to look back on everything about narcissistic abuse and 2 years to look back on everything to do with my mother passing away, I can guarantee that where I was 2 years ago is not where I am today. So I am in a better place today. I have done the grief work. I have done the trauma work as a certified trauma recovery coach. That has been essential in my own healing journey. And so seeking emotional support, educating ourselves about narcissistic abuse, understanding that it is not your fault and you don't need to feel guilty when the narcissistic parent and or other person, you know, again, it could be your loved one, mother, father, sibling, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, when they pass away, you don't need to feel guilty. And I'm bringing this one up because today I read a new comment on my YouTube channel for another video, and someone said, I fear for when my narcissistic parent passes away because I will feel so guilty. And my response to them was, I refer to this as false guilt. You do not need to feel guilty, and you do not need to feel toxic shame. You did not create the abuse. You are not responsible for the narcissist. Do you understand? You are not accountable for the narcissist. If anyone should feel guilty and toxic shame, it is the narcissist and the flying monkeys. So don't feel guilty. If you don't go to the funeral, don't feel guilty. If you don't show up at the hospital to say your last and final goodbye to your cruel, malignant, narcissistic parent or loved one, don't feel guilty. And the reason why is the guilt is not yours, my friends. You did nothing wrong. And yet many people do talk about feeling guilty and feeling the toxic shame. And I think it could be because the flying monkeys are stirring up trouble. They may be saying malicious things to you. How dare you not say goodbye to mother or father? Or how dare you show up at the funeral? You don't belong here. Oh, you don't belong here. So there's a lot of crazy things that can take place before, during, and after the narcissistic parent and or other loved one passes away. There is a lot of information that may not be given to you, even if it is legal information. So prepare for the unexpected. Next is, I'm going to say a quote, and here it is. The narcissist convinces you that your emotional reactions to their abuse is your problem. It's all in your head. And yet they do not take accountability for their own abusive actions in and of itself. And so we can understand that there's so much that we feel inside our human emotions. And so I believe that we must feel it to heal it. We must process everything we experienced with a narcissist. We must accept that we can't change them. If they did pass away, we give ourselves tender, loving care, grace, mercy, love, and plenty of time to allow everything to just kind of sink in, to allow ourselves to go through the 5 stages of grief. And if you feel angry, do not deny yourself that. Because as far as Dr. Gabor Mate states, he is a professional, he is a doctor, and he specializes in trauma and also addictions. But he does state that if you do push away, conceal, hide, run away from, repress, or suppress your anger, it can manifest itself as chronic pain, cancer, an autoimmune condition, a fibromyalgia, addictions, and many other very, very, very difficult situations and circumstances. And so we do not want to push away and bury and hide and deny any of our emotions, including anger. And we do understand that grief is a journey. It is not a marathon. And so we may feel a wide range of emotions. I'll state some of them, but please know this is not limited to just a few. And you could feel free to share down below all the human emotions that you felt before, during, and after your narcissistic parent or loved one or whoever it may be passed away. Maybe they're even living right now. Feel free to share those emotions after you went no contact or you went into some sort of family estrangement with the narc and or flying monkeys. So you may feel relief when the narcissistic parent passes away. Even if you go no contact with them or you're estranged from the narcissist, you may feel relief. I guarantee that was the first feeling that came up for me when my mother passed away 2 years ago. I felt just a flood of like, oh, I feel free. I feel like I could breathe again. Next, you may feel grief and loss, and expect that because that's a very common, normal human experience. Allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel whatever you feel. Next, you may feel heartbroken, you may feel depressed, you may feel anxiety, you may feel panicky, you may feel isolated, you may feel empowered, you may feel liberated, and you may feel inner peace. And as I mentioned, there's a whole lot more emotions and feelings that are involved with this. And each of us are so different. We come from different backgrounds. We have different personalities. We react differently to death and to the narcissist and to grief and loss. And so there is no one single pathway to healing from narcissistic abuse and grief and loss and trauma. Instead, there's many, many roads to recovery. And so find whatever fits for you. I'm not going to continue this conversation because I feel that most of you understand grief and loss. Most of you know that there's a lot of emotions that can just kind of bubble up inside of you when you go no contact from the narcissist, and even after the narcissist passes away. If you want to learn more about should you or should you not go to the narcissist funeral or memorial, you might want to check out that video of mine. There's no judgment here, no judgment here. We need to create a safe space where we can be our authentic, transparent self and share in a very vulnerable way how painful it is to experience narcissistic abuse. But I want to say this, we need to end on this note. There is life after narcissistic abuse. There is life after we walk away, whether it is going gray rock, whether it is going no contact, whether it is family estrangement, or whether it is the narcissist does eventually take their last breath and now they're deceased. And so we can give ourselves an extra dose of love and grace and empathy and compassion. We can do what we need to do to take care of ourselves. And here I'm going to end on this note. It's been 2 years, And I'm at a place now where I consider everything from way back then with my narcissistic mother and my toxic siblings, I consider it all a life lesson. And I have taken these life lessons seriously. I have transformed myself. And my friends, you can transform yourself too. You can renew your mind. You can start over. You can have second chances. You can have real, authentic joy, love, respectful relationships, healthy boundaries, and a brand new beginning. And so never, ever lose hope. And if you'd like to share with me any of your experiences, whether the narcissistic parent or sibling or whoever this person is, whether they're alive, whether they're deceased, share how you have dealt with grief and loss and how you've dealt with this experience. If you need emotional support, I do specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery, sibling abuse recovery, family estrangement, sexual abuse, trauma, and so forth. You could reach out to me at danaarcuri.com, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and you could visit me at danaarcuri.com. Thank you and have a beautiful day.